All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposers, nay. And our minutes are adopted. At this time, we're going to have our Executive Director, Monica Fogneson, to give her her report.
Well, good morning, everyone. Thank you all for being here today. You do have the agenda before you. As the chair said, this is the annual meeting of the board. We primarily have reports and updates. We'll hear from the Titans, from Heather Hill, our construction representative for the stadium. Paula Casey. Oh, I can't see. Paula, we're glad to have Paula here. She is with the National Votes for Women Trail, which may be familiar to some of you, but it's been a while since we've gotten an update on that. The Predators will present the Bridgestone Arena report. And last but not least, we will have the election of officers. Are there any questions about the agenda? I do want to draw your attention to, this is behind tab 3 in your binder. It's the 2023 Community Benefits Agreement, the annual report for Nashville SC. The soccer CBA was signed as part of the deal to bring MLS to Nashville back in 2018. The Community Advisory Committee was then created to ensure that the CBA was transparent and inclusive and accessible to the community. So a lot of great work has been done, and Lindsay Paola, who is not here today, but is the COO for Nashville SC, is going to come back in a future meeting, maybe next month or September, kind of walk through the annual report. But I wanted you to have it so you can just review it. There's a lot of great work that's been done, so I wanted to bring your attention to that. Are there any questions? If not, that concludes my report.
Thank you, Monica. At this time, Heather Hill with Cummings Management Group will give us a project management update. Good morning.
Good morning. So, as we've discussed, a very busy summer, and it has started on schedule. We did receive the food service addendum that we were expecting on June 28th. The first draft of the guaranteed maximum price documents were delivered on schedule on 7/16. Our team is digging through that, primarily to understand form, what's included, what's not, and start to dive into the details as future drafts are produced. Our comments are due back to the Titans and TBA next week, and we will achieve that. So needless to say, the busy summer is off and running, and again on schedule. Under design, we still have the priority items that we briefly touched on last meeting, more in the report for details. There are subsequent meetings happening almost weekly and as often as needed by both Titans, the planning department, our team, TVS, who is the architect on the project, to ensure that we're continuing to move the ball forward on these items. And I'm here to report that these items are all progressing. For financials, we continue to work with the Titans as well as Metro Finance and meet with them bi-weekly to discuss any needs they may have, understanding that the funding from the trust agreement doesn't start until after approval, 10/1 timeframe, but we are still making sure that the information is there and what information we're getting, and if anything the Metro Finance team needs to see, we want to be prepared for that. As far as DBE, outreach continues with multiple packages. I'm sure you'll hear more from the Titans team during their report. The one kind of priority item for our team as well as Titans is to continue to figure out what the denominator is for the project. So understanding what we're putting in there to ensure we're all getting to the correct percentages and reporting correctly. So that work is ongoing with the BAO team as well. And that concludes my report. Any questions?
Yes.
I have one question. Looking at this report, the second bullet point on the back page, the north facade, you noted that it's not a garage door, but rather a louver. Is that a design change, and are design changes ongoing, I guess is my question.
We're still working, planning is still working with Titan's design team to ensure that we are treating the facades as one would expect for this product and in this neighborhood environment. So planning is providing feedback on the facades as we continue to develop. I would say there are not substantial structural changes happening. Obviously, we're under construction, but just how the finishes look on the facades of the building are still being decided.
Understood. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions for Heather? Heather, you mentioned the DBE.
Yes.
That you're working through that to see what the appropriate percentages are. Will we hear from the Titans on that, or?
The part I'm mentioning is ensuring we're understanding how the math will work so that we're all reporting correctly. I think we briefly touched on it in previous meetings. If we did not, I apologize. Where we know that there is the number, the 2.1, talking in general numbers, but some of that is, call it dollars that may not apply. Think insurance, other fees, things that not necessarily the BAO is like, hey, you go to DBEs to look for those things. So when I'm talking about the denominator, that's what we're trying to figure out is what is that number that we will divide by to ensure we're achieving the mandated percentages.
Great. Any other questions? Thank you, Heather.
Thank you.
Next, we have Adolfo Birch and Shannon Myers to give us the Nissan Stadium Titans report. Good morning.
All right, thank you for having us again this month to provide an update. I have been accused by some, and by some I mean our construction folks, that I focus too much on the schedule, too much on the budget, not enough on what's actually going on the site. So if you bear with me, I will strive to be a little more balanced and discuss some of the activities that are going on site this month as well. But I thought I would begin with really just a brief update to confirm some of the progress or completion of the projects and items that we have talked about in previous reports, just to make sure that you all are aware and understand that as we report on things, there will be conclusion and completion of those, and that if there are any problems, we'll be certain to report on those as well. But wanted to be clear about what we have done and been able to do relative to what we described earlier in earlier reports. So to begin on that point, I think the addendum to the GMP set that was issued, that was something that we knew we needed to do, and that has been completed now. Recommendations of award for a number of the packages have all been approved. The proposals for the GMP, which everybody understands to be called the package number 5, the big package, those proposals have been received and are now in process of review. The Colonial Pipeline, that project has been completed, meaning both the reroute and the restoration of the previous portions that had to be uprooted. That has now all been done. That project is complete. And then I would probably just refer to the coordination on the infrastructure projects, in particular with NES to get power to the stadium, and with Metro and everyone else to get on the delivery of the sanitary pump station. Those both are continuing to move forward per the plan that we addressed earlier. So on the construction end, if you have not had an opportunity to view the site of late, I think you would all be amazed, and that is my word, not my construction folks' word, at the amount of activity. And to illustrate that, I did ask and get a few data points that I think are pretty meaningful. First, more than 520 of these 767 piers have already been drilled, and that work should be done probably in less than a month. Second, more than 340,000 cubic yards of dirt have been excavated to date. Third, approximately 2,000 cubic yards of concrete have been poured thus far. And I think, personally, most important, more than 400 workers are expected to be on site by the end of the month, and more than 1,000 at the end of August. So taking that backdrop, some of the projects and progress that you can see will be the construction of what is going to be a 22-foot retaining wall, and that is the wall that will wall off one end of the loading dock. That has already begun. The build out of what is going to be a 100,000-gallon cistern tank has begun, and that cistern is crucial because it will collect rainwater that will be used for a number of functions, including toilet flush, cooling tanks, and irrigation, all of which are critical to support the LEED certification that the project is going for. And then finally, I think I may talk about this a little bit more, but the Titantown trailer complex, that is near completion. We have a number of trailer units operating already, including the Workforce and Diversity Center, but the rest are coming online, including Metro's piece, Sports Authority's piece, and some of TVA's. We expect that all of that will be completed and it will be fully operational by August sometime. Following up on the chair's question, we are happy to be able to talk about some of the DBE related information. As you know, our goal on this project was to meet or exceed 25% DBE participation on the project. And to help us do that and to help us understand and assess it, the teams have been using the Business Assistance Office's B2G Now database. And that database has now started to populate with information. And so that now gives us the opportunity to be able to start kind of providing you with more information on the details of that. So only thing I would say about it, I think, is just to reiterate that there's a timing lag between information getting into the system and when the contracts were awarded or paid and things like that. So the information will be necessarily a little sort of behind current date, but it's still relevant. So I think there are a number of details in the materials we provided for this month, but I wanted to highlight simply that there are, between all of the entities procuring on the project, at least through May, we now already have a total of 8 MBEs, 3 SBEs, and 8 WBEs who have done work, billed, and paid on the project thus far. And between them, the amounts billed, I believe with my math skills, exceeds 3.7 million so far. And I would have everybody bear in mind that, you know, less than half of the projects have even been awarded, thus far. So we know that ultimately we're trying to develop a system that will allow us to be able to communicate as awarded what our expected percentages and that participation is. And I think we've been working with Metro and the other entities involved to try to figure out how to do that. And once we do it, we will provide that information to you at least on a quarterly basis. That's the aim in our mind. The only other thing I wanted to mention a little bit was the workforce development. And I hope that you all saw on Monday, we had the ribbon cutting for the workplace Development Center, which is part of that Titanstown Trailer Complex. That was a phenomenal day for a lot of folks, but probably most particularly the folks who were able to go through the first two cohorts of the diversity of the workforce development program that TBA is running called TC2. And we were able to have one of those cohort graduates speak to the group, and it did nothing but reaffirm our belief in the importance of this, workplace program and how it can transform not only, Tennessee and Nashville as a whole, but these individuals and these individuals' families throughout this community. So I would encourage you to read the materials about the workforce development program in particular to understand sort of where those things are going and how they're headed. So I end, as always, with the numbers. So to be clear, the project thus far has spent $131,848.91 through the end of June. And for the last approved pay application, which was May, the project spent a total of $12,792,442. So with that, I'll stop for questions, or if there are none, we have a report about the monthly expense returns as well.
Thank you. Questions for Adolfo?
I just have one comment. That was a very thorough report, and I appreciate that. I think the Geodis folks set the bar rather high when they built their stadium and had no injuries save for one broken finger. So I would ask that as you move all these people onto the site, you keep us apprised of the safety element of it as well.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments for Adolfo? No. Thank you. Shannon?
All right, thank you. Shannon Myers, Chief Financial Officer for the Tennessee Titans, here to just give you a brief update on current Nissan Stadium CapEx. You have our summary one-page memo in your materials. It should be either right before or after Adolfo's report. Just a couple updates for you. Again, everything focused on current Nissan Stadium is focused on just the safe and reliable operation of the stadium. So we did complete 2 projects this past month and have 1 ongoing. All of those projects, though, were previously communicated to you, are either at or on budget. So I wanted to focus
Shannon,
on just
excuse me, I'm sorry, I hate to
Yeah.
interrupt. It's actually behind the green tab that says Nissan Stadium. I see everybody flipping. We'll put it with,
Thank you,
we'll
Monica.
put it with the Titans report next month.
Apologies. Very good. Well, really, the bulk of it is just updating you on 2 anticipated items, because everything else has been previously communicated in other meetings. So anticipated items, 1 down on the bottom, a new one for this month, stadium step repair. It's around adding security, the yellow security safety striping to certain steps in the interior bowl. There's several sections in the lower bowl and upper bowl where that is faded, so wanting to add that for patron safety to make sure they can see those steps going up and down, estimating that at around $50,000 and hoping to get that done before our first preseason game. And then there is one other one that I just got on my desk yesterday, so since this is timely, wanted to make sure we talked about. It's an estimate of around $30,000 for electrical upgrades to our sidelines, specific to the NFL technology IT carts that are used on game day. The NFL had a site visit last week and wanted to make sure they identified some areas where we needed some electrical upgrades. This is for their player injury systems to communicate to each other. So those updates are actually going to be done here in the next coming weeks, again, to be ready for our first preseason game. So that one's not on your report. You'll see it formally next month, but wanted to give you that update timely as well. So happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Thank you.
Shannon,
Yes.
when is the first preseason game?
It is, it's in August. I'm not what was it? August 10th.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Okay. Thank you all.
Any other questions? Thank you, Shannon.
Yep.
Thank you all for that report. Next, Paula Casey, Chair of the National Votes for Women Trail Committee, is with us today. A few of you may remember back in 2020, during the year-long celebration of the 19th Amendment, the board approved a land use agreement to allow the installation of a marker at First Horizon Park as part of the National Votes for Women Trail. At that point, our site had not been nominated, but the selection wasn't final. It had been nominated, but wasn't final. And so obviously a lot of time has passed, but Paula's back, and we're looking forward to your update.
Thank you so much. I'm here on behalf of the National Votes for Women Trail, which is a project of the National Collaborative for Women's History Sites, on whose board I serve. I want to thank the board for your approval. I want to thank the marvelous staff of the Sports Authority for everything they have done. This is such an important effort, and I cannot thank you enough. Today is July 18th. On July 19th and 20th, in 1848, the first Women's Rights Convention was held in Seneca Falls, New York. That's upstate New York. I was there back in the 1990s, and I called my mother and said, I'm in Mecca, because it was so exciting to see where the birthplace of the women's rights movement and the women's suffrage movement began. I am so thrilled that the National Votes for Women Trail has done this, because what we are seeking to do is to preserve this history. Do you all realize that 2026 will be the 250th anniversary of the United States? To some of us, 1976 seems like yesterday. So here we are approaching the 250th anniversary of the country, and we want to make sure that all of these contributions by women and the men who supported them are included. I grew up in Nashville, graduated from DuPont High School, go Bulldogs, went to the University of Tennessee, Knoxville. I was there in 1974 when Pat Head was hired. I was for the Lady Vols before it was cool. I did not know this history until I was 21 years old. My friend and mentor, the late, great Carolyn Yellen, started researching what happened in Tennessee in 1970 after she had done quite a bit of research after the assassination of Dr. King in Memphis in 1968. And she realized that too few people knew this story. So she wrote an article in American Heritage Magazine called Countdown in Tennessee, December 1978. And out of that grew our book, The Perfect 36, Tennessee Delivers Women's Suffrage. She interviewed Representative Joseph Hanover from Memphis, who kept the pro-suffrage votes together in the House, and we got a National Votes for Women Trail marker for him in Memphis, and I had to fight really hard for it, just like I had to fight for this. And I want you all to know, if we could show the picture of the marker. These markers were funded by the Pomeroy Foundation, and they had very stringent criteria, which is a good thing because that means that these markers aren't going up willy-nilly. But we had to jump through a lot of hoops to get this. And what is so significant about this marker? How often do you see the suffrage movement and sports come together? That's what's so cool about this. And the woman who made this happen in August of 1916, called Suffrage Day at the old Sulphurdale Ballpark, was Catherine Talty Kenny. She is an unsung heroine, originally from Chattanooga. She was a mover and a shaker and a brilliant strategist. And I want you all to know that these women who fought for 72 years, the greatest nonviolent revolution in the history of this country, were brilliant. They believed in democracy and the rule of law, and they fought to be a part of their government. These markers, which the Pomeroy Foundation agreed with the National Collaborative for Women's History Sites that we needed to acknowledge this struggle. And remember, when it was ratified in Tennessee in August of 1920, there were only 48 states. They needed 36 states to ratify an amendment, and that's how Tennessee became the perfect 36. We have 7 markers in Tennessee. This is the last one to be installed, and I am so appreciative and so excited about this because this marker will be on the National Votes for Women Trail database. I co-founded the Tennessee Women's Suffrage Heritage Trail. It'll be there, and I'm also going to put it in the International Marker Database, imdb.org. People will be able to find this, and this is especially important for heritage tourism. And we've done one other thing. a new podcast called Her March to Democracy, Stories Along the National Votes for Women Trail. And I will be talking about this marker on the next episode. We're going to do 2 Tennessee episodes. And it's so exciting to hear from people around the country who are going, oh, I didn't know that. So we have an opportunity to promote tourism, to celebrate our history. It is just so exciting to think that our state was the state that made it possible for all American women to vote. And we need to celebrate that. This marker is a part of that. I am just so happy to be here, and I want to donate a copy of our book to every board member and every staff member as my personal thank you. I want you to know this history. I want you to celebrate it. And the most important thing is everybody needs to get out and vote. Thank you.
Thank you.
And if I could take one more moment, can we show the picture of the monument? I want to encourage all of you to go to Centennial Park, if you haven't, and see my girls in Centennial Park. 6 years of my life was on this monument, the Tennessee Women's Suffrage Monument. We've got monuments in Knoxville, Nashville, Clarksville, Jackson, and Memphis. We're going to make sure people know this history. So go to Centennial Park, raise a glass, and celebrate. Thank you.
Thank you. Paula, we appreciate that amazing update, and I applaud this body for being part of such an amazing piece of work. So, again, congratulations to the board and to the city of Nashville. Thank you.
Can she come back next month?
Yeah, maybe so, right? Yeah, so with that, it's a tough act to follow, but we're going to get back on to our agenda. So facility questions, we try to set aside a time during each meeting for us to ask questions or make comments to our partners. So are there any facility questions this morning? If not, we're going to invite Sean Henry, CEO of the Nashville Predators and Bridgestone Arena, up, and he will introduce his team and get us kicked off for the Bridgestone report. Thank you.
Let's hear it for Sean.
Yeah, thank you. I got so nervous following her. I had a chance to get the preview of that outside, and I thought, who did this agenda screw us over by following that presentation? But that really is really cool. So congratulations, and thank you to all of you. But how about the presentation? Whenever someone can encourage open drinking in a park, my gosh, let's raise a glass. That was awesome. I was warned by Kyle and Michelle and David Kells. Sean Henry, CEO of Nashville Predators. Thanks for being here today. It's good to have you back. To not steal their agenda items. And it's hard when you go first. There's certainly good things to talk about, but I will try to abide by their threats and warnings. I was going to introduce Bill Haslam, and I will eventually. He's going to walk through the door with great applause, I hope. But I'll waste some time until then. But really just talk about what we've done this summer. Last year was a year that a lot of people thought we accomplished some things that most didn't think we could from a hockey standpoint. At the end of the prior year, played some of our best hockey. It was exciting. We parted ways with a lot of really key fan favorites and guys who have been with this team that defined who we are and what we are in the community on the ice. So it was hard, but we had a chance to bring and showcase a lot of young guys, got a lot of draft picks, and built a lot of excitement going to last summer, where we went out and signed some really core key veterans. Barry Trotz was announced as our new GM. Barry talked about, bringing in and recruiting serial winners. Let's change who we are and what we are. Let's change what's possible as an organization. And a lot of people thought, well, you guys are in a rebuild. You're in a whatever, And we said, no, we're not in anything except we're going to build a competitive team. Ideally this year and every year. The idea is to take a step forward every season. You never know what's going to happen throughout the year. But that's when last year we brought in some real key guys that changed who we were and what we are. One of the key leaders we brought in was Ryan O'Reilly, captain of the Stanley Cup championship team in St. Louis Blues. And the idea was to bring people like that in that don't take losing very easily, and guys that have the best work ethic in the league. And the funny thing about Ryan O'Reilly, when we're on the road, we have to pay the other Zamboni driver from the other arena to start zamming the ice to get him off the ice. And he's one of our rink rats. He never wants to leave, but that's what we wanted our younger guys to see. And you combine him with the best defenseman in the league in Roman Josi, one of the best goalies in the league in UC Saros. We knew we could be better than a lot of people thought we could be this past year. And that's what we did. We made the playoffs. Most people didn't think we would. You could argue we should have beat Vancouver, and if you do beat Vancouver, who knows where it goes, but that's sports. But it was a fun year. There's no doubt about it. We won back a lot of our fans and the passions and the mindset of Smashville. And then we went to, the draft season. We had so much draft capital this year. We had, I don't even know how many draft picks, like 45 or something, but it was actually 10. But we drafted really, really well. What I love about working with Barry Trotz, he has a checklist. This is what we're going to go after. This is who we're going to be. This is why. And we're going to start building real timelines and start nesting in our players. As certain players start aging out, you're drafting to fulfill what we're doing. And that's what he did in the draft. It was ranked one of the best drafts by any team in there, despite having a much later draft pick than anyone else. We drafted a guy that most thought should go a little bit higher. He probably would have. He's going to end up playing in Russia for 2 years before he comes here. That's why he fell to us. But my gosh, he's going to be a top line center or a second line center, no doubt, in a few years. And then we went to free agency. And I've never, ever had so many texts. I thought there was something wrong with my family. My phone was blowing up. It was pretty cool. I was on a conference call with actually Bill Haslam on a Zoom at 7 or 7:30 in the morning. And I was talking to Barry at the same time. And we had, Barry had a target list. He had A group, B group, C group, 17 contingencies off each one. If we get this guy or lose this guy, we got to go this way and move all over. But we knew what we wanted. We didn't know we'd be able to accomplish it. But the fact that we were able to sign the Tampa Bay Lightning's best player in team history, captain of 2 Stanley Cup championship teams, and Steve Stamkos, a 40-goal scorer last year, and get him to lead that team to come here, and then go after the guy that we thought if we don't get Stamkos, we'll hopefully be able to get him, but then also get Jonathan Marchessault, who was an alternate captain to a Stanley Cup championship team in Las Vegas, 40-goal scorer last year. It's pretty incredible. I think we're the only team in the history of the NHL to sign 2 40-goal scorers in free agency. I might be wrong, but if I am, maybe it's one other team. It does sound right? So let's go with it. No one's proved me wrong yet. But it's pretty exciting when you look at what our shortage of goals were last year, and that was really the knock on our team. We've got to score a little bit differently. You need, full 3-line scoring, a 4th line to be our identity line. We added 2 40-goal scorers to a team that had a 40-goal scorer. We'll be the first team, or the only team in the NHL this year, to start the season with 3 40-goal scorers from the prior year. Hopefully we have 4 this year. But that's pretty exciting. But then, we knew we had to look at our defensive line, too. What are we going to do on that? And we went out and just got the biggest free agent defenseman in the league in Brady Shea. We got him from Carolina. It's a good one because Carolina's owner has called me almost every day since we signed it, screaming and yelling and also saying you got a really, really good guy in Brady. So we're pretty excited about it. When you pair him with Roman Josi, you probably have the best defensive pairing in the entire NHL. Now, Colorado will argue with you with Taves and Makar. I'll take our 2 over there too, but then again, they're pretty good too. But whenever you're in that conversation, arguing over first or second, it's pretty good. You look at our top 6 lines right now, nobody can match what we're doing. And I think we have the best goalie in the league, and that's why we just signed him to an 8-year extension, for $7.74 million. I told him if we were smarter, his number would have been 99, not 74. He would have made a few more dollars. Then again, he could have been 0-1 too. But it's an exciting time for the team. It really is. And when you look at what we did, every expert, I hate experts because they're always wrong. Hopefully this year, knock on wood, they're right. Jared Stillman is always wrong on 102.5. He has us winning the Stanley Cup, winning 16 straight playoff games. That's a little aggressive. But the fact is, we're in the conversation of being, one of those Final 4 teams. As Barry Trotz says, as Andrew Burnett says, our coach, they still make us play those games. So ideally we play like we did last year with very low injuries, knock on wood. But then we also went out and re-signed a young player in Carrier, who really proved to be a great second D pair, pairing up with Lozon, who led the league in hits. I mean, we're a hard team to play against. And we just got a lot harder. We also got a lot more fun and a lot more exciting. So it's a good time to be a sports fan. Dolph and I were talking a little bit before the meeting. You look at some of the firepower they added, some of the firepower we added, and it's exciting. The upcoming year for football and hockey is going to be a lot of fun. Of course, SC's in the middle of a playoff hunt right now, and sports are fun again, and it really is good to be part of that. So I just want to say thanks for always supporting us and putting us on path that we could take these steps forward, because right now there are 31 other teams looking at Nashville Predators and saying, wait a minute, you guys spent about $20 million above the cap. How'd you do it? Well, we didn't spend above the cap. We just manipulated what we needed to do, following the CBA legally, of course, and created something that we've never had before. So it's going to be a fun year. So thank you, guys. Great. And Kyle, I didn't see any talking points, but I'm going to bring David Kells up here, I think, to talk about the awards we won that I won't steal. Right, David? Correct. So again, thank you all so much. Appreciate you. you have any questions about the team or where you can buy season tickets? Because we have 2 or 3 available still. So thank you, guys.
Hello, thank you for your time. My name is David Kells. I'm Chief Venues Officer for Bridgestone Arena and the Nashville Predators. We just wrapped up our fiscal year, so it's a great time to look back on what we've done over the last 12 months. Numbers-wise, we hosted 131 publicly ticketed events, plus 49 Nashville Predators games, totaling 180 events in 12 months. That's when we were opening the doors, scanning tickets, bringing people into the seats. That's more than we've ever done in a 12-month period in the history of the building. So again, we've welcomed over 1 million guests to the doors through Bridgestone Arena. And as our community grows, we're welcoming a wider group of fans than ever before. This last year, we hosted 8 Latin headlining events, including Aventura, Luis Miguel, Enrique Iglesias, Pitbull, Ricky Martin, Fuerza Regida, Bad Bunny, and others. And this was a constituency that we were not serving 10 years ago, 5 years ago or so. Our community has grown. The entertainment options have followed as well. So again, that's 8 more events to our calendar that we weren't having several years ago, but like I said, also serving other people in the community. This last year, we also hosted multiple night events than ever before. We had multiple performances from Drake, Noah Kahan, Tyler Childers, Fish, Jonas Brothers, and Thomas Rhett. In years past, as we've said, Nashville was not on the first routing. We then muscled our way into the first routing, and now we're muscling our way into multiple night performances because the fan bases are coming out. The performers know when they come to Nashville and put 2 dates on sale that they're going to be sold out, they're going to be successful financially, and the fans are going to have a good time and make it a bigger event than it would be playing Nashville and another city. Part of that, hosting multiple events and even more events than ever before, we continue to anchor bringing entertainment dollars to Nashville and Middle Tennessee. Every year, we kind of look on who's buying our tickets and where they're coming from. 50% of our non-hockey ticket sales come from out of state. That means people are choosing to spend dollars here rather than in their own community. And again, that's found revenue. We're serving Middle Tennessee community, providing entertainment and quality of life for people who live here, and driving revenue to the county and the area outside of that. Looking ahead to next year, we're on a very similar course. We're projecting a similar number and mix of events. We already have 50 events announced and on sale and over 300,000 tickets sold for those concerts, which will take place in our next fiscal year. As busy as we've been, we found the need to schedule time for projects and maintenance. In years past, we were just able to work those things in throughout the calendar because we had open gaps. Those gaps are gone, so now we have to be more strategic and more thoughtful of when we're taking breaks. And so we just took about 3 weeks off from the concert calendar to do those types of things, to start new summer projects, to start new revenue-producing areas, and paint and maintenance and the not fun public things, but things that need to be done so we can operate as busy as we ever have. After that short pause, we're back again and as busy as ever. In the next 7 days, we'll host Alabama, the Smashville Summer Celebration, Sebastian Maniscalco, AEW Wrestling, and Hootie and the Blowfish. That's all in the next 7 days. And then looking forward, we have 15 event days in August, 11 event days in September, and when the full season starts back in October, we will open our doors to the public 20 of 31 days in October. So it's awesome to see the public responding to all of these events. I say all the time, without people coming in the front doors, without something cool on the ice, without something amazing on the stage, we're just 4 walls and some seats, and people don't pay to see that. That doesn't help or serve anybody. So it's wonderful to see the fan response and for us to be as successful and as busy as we can be. In the coming weeks, we also have the opportunity to showcase Smashville to a wider audience. We have 3 nationally broadcast events between July and August. In a couple of weeks, we have the Toby Keith American Icon Tribute Concert. That'll be recorded for later broadcast. Big 3 basketball is coming in August, and the PBR Pro Bull Riding will come back in August. Those are both live national broadcasts that help showcase Bridgestone Arena and Nashville to an audience outside of our 4 walls. Awards, we are very, very fortunate to win awards, as Sean mentioned. And again, we have won the Academy of Country Music Venue of the Year. That's something that they announce every spring. There'll be an award ceremony in September at the Ryman when we'll actually pick up our piece of hardware, bring it back to show it all of you and everybody here in the stands. So, thank you. Any questions for me on events, upcoming schedules, fun things like that? Yes, please.
With all of these events you have at Bridgestone, you think there's any way we can work a WNBA team into Bridgestone Arena?
There's always room for more. There's 365 days. As I said, we only booked 180 of them, so there's always room for more stuff.
Any other questions, comments?
Okay, well, thank you all for the support that you give us that allows us to maximize the use of the building. And Sean Henry's creeping up behind me for another lack of the agenda.
Thank you.
We are predators. Thank you, David. It takes some of you a while to get those. Thank you, Don. I was hoping to introduce our new chairman, and he just walked in the door. And, you know, we talk about ownership quite a bit. And Kathy, you've been on the board for quite a few years. And you really saw us through some troubling times back in, 06, 07, 08, where the team was in flux. And we were very fortunate that day one season ticket holders decided to buy this team and really save the team. At the time, we were led by Tom Seeger, our chairman, that really changed what was possible. It wasn't, we're one of the smaller markets, so therefore we should be happy making the playoffs every year, maybe a first round exit, maybe we could do this or that. It was, let's change what we could do, who we can be, and how proud our city can be of us. And Tom did an incredible job moving the team forward. He transitioned from the chairman into Herb Fritch, who then took what Tom did and really stabilized where we were going. And then between those two guys who were their co-chairman, we went to the Stanley Cup. The next year when Herb was chairman, we won the President's Trophy and really went on a 10-year run in the playoffs. And it was incredible. About, I probably got my years wrong, but about 5 years ago, Governor Haslam reached out to Herb Fritch to say, I love what you guys are doing, and I think I want to be a part of it. And watching, I hate using the word negotiation, but watching those two gentlemen talk about what should happen with this team, how Bill should get involved, what Herb's role should be or would be was incredible. So I don't even know when the first purchase took place, but about 3 years ago, where Herb was the chairman, and just last week, we transitioned to our new chairman, and that's Bill Haslam. And when you think about this franchise, where we've been since that 07 or 08 year to where we are now and where we could be in the next 10, 20, 30, 40 years, we couldn't be in better hands. And as one of the employees of the Nashville Predators, I've been pretty fortunate to work for two great chairmen, and I'm so excited about what the future holds personally for me, for the organization, for Smashville, because of Bill's involvement. So Bill, I'd like to say a few words to you. So welcome, Bill, officially the new chairman of the Nashville Predators.
Thanks, Sean. I'll be real brief. First of all, great to see so many friends here. Thanks for that. I really just want to say 3 or 4 things. First, maybe tell you why my wife and family and I decided to get involved with the Predators. Really 3 or 4 reasons, all of which I think you can identify with. Number one, I believe in sports. I believe in what sports can do for a community. I believe in sports as a business long term. I just believe in the power of sports to do a lot of things. Number 2, I'm really bullish on Nashville. I think this town, for a lot of reasons, is headed in just the right direction. Challenges for certain, but the role that sports can play in helping Nashville be the town that we all want it to be, I think, is really important. And the third thing is, I've liked the way the Predators have been a member of this community. And I say that I loved the roster of what was going through here at Bridgestone. I had zero to do with any of that. I love the way the Predators have become a part of this community long before we were involved. And I love what we're doing on the ice. I love it that my very first day as chairman, we brought on board 3 great free agents. And I had nothing to do with that either. But I think you see where I'm going. I just am bullish on Nashville, bullish on sports, and bullish on Preds as part of this community. So looking forward to being involved. And let me just say last, as somebody that's been involved in public roles that sometimes are, what's the best way to put this, that you don't get a lot of thanks for the amount of work and sometimes even the amount of grief you get. I appreciate the role you play. It's kind of, when I left being, and I was mayor for 2 terms and governor for 2 terms, when I left office, people always like, how'd you get worn out with all the people beating you up? I said, sometimes, but you also get encouraged by folks like you who are doing this, for not a whole lot of reward, but doing it because it's going to make your community and state a better place to live. So thank you for that. I'll be glad to answer any questions you have for me, but I also know you're getting toward the end of the agenda, and I might be the only thing in between you and the end.
Governor Haslam, I'd like to reflect on a story about the first time I met you. Veterans Day Parade in Nashville. You were the governor-elect.
Okay.
I was down rounding up all the politicians to get them in the right vehicles, and I got a phone call, and they said the governor-elect may be in the parade, so be on the lookout for him. So I looked around, didn't see anybody. In a few minutes, I turned around, and there's a gentleman standing there with a light blue shirt on, his sleeves rolled up, and guess who it was? It was you. And so we got you on the right vehicle, and you didn't want to ride, and you walked. The Veterans Day Parade down Broadway, your first encounter in Nashville, Tennessee. And thank you for your leadership with the Tennessee National Guard.
Well, thanks. I appreciate your help on that, too, and helping me get in the right. That was just, you were the first of many people telling me where to go and what to do, and I appreciate it. So. Anybody else, questions or comments?
Any questions or comments? Governor, just want to say thank you for being here. We're excited about the future of the Predators. We know it's going to be great, so we look forward to hearing more.
Well,
thank you so much.
Thank you all very much. Appreciate it.
All right, well, speaking of community, I will kind of transition to talk about our Guider program, as well as I'll call up Rebecca King to talk about the Preds Foundation. But definitely hard to follow Governor Haslam there. But the last time, I'm Amy Bratton. I'm the Director of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion here with the Preds in Bridgestone Arena. And the last time I had the pleasure of speaking with all of you, we kind of reviewed what Guider was. It's a program that started back in 2020. This is our mechanism for diversity, equity, and inclusion in our front office, in our sport, with our fans, and in the community. And those four that I just listed are the pillars that make up who we are and how we use this mechanism. It's been important to us to use these 3 R words, the reach, the relationships, and the resources of the Nashville Predators and the affiliated entities to create a positive impact in our community and fight injustice in our community and create opportunity. And so in the spirit, similar to David Kells, of reviewing where we were this last season, I do want to celebrate with you, if you'll let me. We did a lot in those 4 pillar areas, and so I'd like to go through some of what we're celebrating before we look ahead to the ways that we will continue to grow. So we hosted for our front office 6 lunch and learn opportunities where we brought in a community member to educate and empower. Our staff accumulated over 1,500 diversity, equity, and inclusion training hours, meaning that they learned, listened, and researched communities that may differ from their own. We sent our staff to 15 different community networking events to utilize memberships that we have in the community. We also received corporate awards, the 23-24 Nashville Business Journal's Leaders in Diversity, as well as the Tennessee Pride Chamber's Corporate Partner of the Year. We're also nominated for NBJ's Leaders in Diversity again for 2024, which we're very honored to be nominated for. For our fans, we had created 4 custom jerseys. We commissioned local artists to create these logos and auctioned them off. So those 4 custom jerseys attributed to 5 commissioned local artists and 7 community and heritage celebrations that took place in some capacity at Nashville Predators games. We also, along with some corporate partners, donated around 1,100 tickets for new fans to experience Smashville, similar to what Haslam had just described. The power of hockey and bringing people to be entertained in space is something that brings our community together. So we're glad to be able to offer some new experiences to folks. In our community, we hosted 3 free events at one of our Ford Ice Centers, so free skating to experience the sport for the very first time. We had 6 activations at community events where we paid to be a vendor and to share Preds pride with everyone and invite them into what we're doing. Those jerseys that we created at games attributed to over $40,000 of revenue that we donated back to the community through Nashville Predators Foundation grants, helper grants, as well as our Guider efforts and the ways that we reinvest. We also continue to host 3 Nashville Chamber Pay It Forward memberships for organizations in the community. This year we partnered with the Nashville Back Market to identify small business owners that would be a great fit for that membership and to see their businesses forward. Talking a little bit more about our sport, annually we host the United by Hockey Mobile Museum, which is an NHL initiative. So we did that again this year, and I'm going to run through our Ford Ice Centers have been very busy creating a space for our sport to be inclusive of all abilities and needs. So we've introduced over 50 new skaters to the sport by participating in our core program, which breaks down the financial barrier of entry to hockey, and that's presented by Bridgestone. We're really appreciative of their partnership. USA Hockey hosted blind hockey training camps. We had a Tennessee School for the Blind hockey clinic. The American Special Hockey Association hosted a tournament here in Nashville, which included a spot at the Grand Ole Opry, which was fun. 2 sled hockey tournaments, and we have brand new women's hockey programming, Learn to Play an Adult League, as well as a new Preds and Pixels trailer that's going around to expose people to the sport through the NHL video game. And finally, I wanted to share that we hosted our first ever Smashville seminar in conjunction with Tennessee State University. This is an initiative that they brought to us, and I know they've done a similar concept with other major league teams in town, which I think is amazing. Exposure to the sport, the front office, and all the opportunities inside. They said, we've got awesome students, and we said, bring them on. So we hosted them for 5 days in Smashville, created curriculum. All of the people to my left hosted courses for 5 days. They received credit hours for participating, as well as an in-game experience for shadowing. So it was something that was awesome. We are proud to partner with them on that. We hope to do it annually. We've also done a variation of this 2 other times and already have another variation planned for different universities in Tennessee, in Georgia, and also Knoxville, just to bring them and expose them to the same opportunities. So really excited about everything that Guider was able to do. Guider's acronym is Growth, Understanding, Inclusion, Diversity, Equality, Representation. So the G in Guider is growth, and we look to do the same this next season. So I will tease to you that we will have music heritage celebrations this year to celebrate Music City hockey and the collaboration of music and sports. So we're really excited to use that as our mechanism to celebrate communities and heritages like Hispanic heritage, Pride, Black history, and Asian and Pacific Islander heritage. So keep an eye out for that information. I'm happy to take any questions about last season or anything you're excited to see or curious about for next season.
Thank you. Any questions or comments? As
Thank you
always,
very much.
Guider's been very, very busy. I'd love to see the work that you're doing out in the community.
Thank you. It's a big group effort. It's all of us to do it. So appreciate that. Well, I'll turn it over to Rebecca King, Vice President of Community Relations, to talk through our charitable arm of the Nashville Predators Foundation. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Hello there, Rebecca, Vice President of Community Relations, also Executive Director of the Nashville Predators Foundation. We've had a very busy year, but I'm just going to focus on what we did in May because it's something that we had not done previously. We renamed May Million Dollar May, and during that month we distributed over $1 million to nonprofits in the Middle Tennessee community. It started off with our grants program. We distributed $825,000 to 183 nonprofits. We brought them all in as a recipient. You come together and we distribute them in one presentation. Many of the organizations had never made it out to Fordyce Bellevue, so I was excited to introduce the facility to them and show what we had out there in Bellevue. In partnership with owner Brian Grain, we gave out $100,000 to Westminster Home Connection, which allows the elderly and the disabled to age with dignity in their home. And we did a check presentation at a home that had just been renovated for a gentleman. We also distributed $38,000 through the Deck Store and Win program, so 10 nonprofits received money from a program that runs during the duration of the season. We gave $10,000 to Oasis Center, and it specifically went to their LGBT youth program. And then we gave $7,500 to Box 55 and also to the 100 Club, which helps first responders, police, and fire. And we work closely with Chief Drake and the fire department to help them in their efforts and support what they do for our community. And then we also gave 2 checks to Friends Life Community Center and Inspiritus. So we spend our whole year raising money. We put on over 10 fundraising events, which engage our fans, engages our players. It gets them introduced to our community and what we're doing. And then we have the great benefit of giving it away and allowing these nonprofits that are so beneficial for our community, making it the best place to work and live, to do their job. This week, I did get to meet our 3 new players, and we have the fortune of having players that were very active with their former teams. And so we're excited to have them integrated into the community that we have here in Nashville. Do you have any questions?
Questions for Rebecca? I'm just curious, how do you all go about making your selections for your donations? Do you all have earmarked certain categories that you have interest or?
So we keep our grant program very broad-based because we want to help as many people as possible. It's an application through a grant cycle that opens in November, and our board, their toughest task they have as a board member is to review these applications and decide who is going to be a recipient of the money. It's also the most rewarding part of being a board member is deciding who gets the money. So Kyle will have a flyer at the end, and it has the recipients so you can see who received all of the money over the past May celebration. Thank you.
Thank you, Rebecca.
Next up is Kyle.
All right, Kyle.
Next and last, by the way. So, Kyle Clayton, Chief Strategy Officer with the Preds. Again, just echoing what everybody said. Just thank you so much for your support. Thanks for being here today. I'll be brief. We haven't hosted in a long time, so we're excited that you're here. One thing that we have every June 30th is our Capital Asset Management Program. We submitted that. We look forward to reviewing that in the coming months. We don't want to bog today's meeting down with that one as well. But like Kel said, we had a couple weeks off, so we're knee deep in renovations right now. A couple that I'll tease, and maybe I think we're hosting again in October. Maybe we'll give you guys a tour of a couple of these after we review it in the camp, and we'll show you kind of in person. But it's the California Closet Studio. It's a new premium space up on our suite level. We're removing 4 suites and about 180 seats in the lower bowl. It'll be a new premium offering. We're excited about it. It'll be open for this coming season. We're replacing our Wi-Fi system within the entire arena. It'll be state-of-the-art. The one before was installed in about 2013 or 14, so we're well due for an overhaul there. So we're excited about that as well. And then you might have saw as you were walking in, there's several LED screens around the concourse that are getting replaced as well. So those are 3 snippets of things that we have going on right now. We're excited. We're always under renovation. We want to make sure every time that you come in the building or fans come in the building, performers, athletes, whoever, they want to see something new and different. So we're excited about always upgrading the fan experience for sure. Real quick, I just want to say a quick thank you to Delaware North. They're the ones that did the food today. They did an incredible job. They did a great spread. Same thing for our AV team, John, Clayton, and Alex. They're fantastic. And then from our events team, Ryan West, he always does a great job taking care of you guys. Again, working with Valda, Melissa, Monica, and their team. It's always just a lot of fun dealing with these meetings each month we get to host. So just thank you to everybody for being here today, and happy to answer any questions for anything previous. Like Rebecca said, there is a little handout I'll give you on the way out. I'll put them up here in the front so you can grab them on your way.
Great. Questions?
Yeah, I'm curious.
Yes, go for it.
So this new premium offering, you're taking out 4 suites. I don't want to steal your thunder for October if you're going to give us a tour, but give us a bit of a description of what's going to be different about this.
Yeah, absolutely. So, as new buildings are coming online, you look at your premium offerings, much more buildings are going away from the traditional 16 to 20 person suite. A lot of corporations and families that are buying these premium products, they want more of a group effort. Think of Lexus Lounge, think of our Eurostone Club. It's much more easy to manage, and you can buy 2 to 4 suites in this club space, a premium space, as opposed to owning a 16 to 20 person suite. So very high-end offerings. It's a great side-of-stage view for a concert. It's one of those that it's probably underrated how great of a view it is. You really are right there beside the artist. It's a great vantage point. And then for hockey, it's in the corner, so it's on our Tack Twice zone, so it's a great view as well for a hockey game. So be a great premium offering. We have seats available if anybody's willing to purchase. I'm happy to share that information.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments for Kyle?
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you. And I want to thank the Nashville Predators and Bridgestone Arena for a very detailed report. A lot of exciting things going on, so thanks to each of you for your input this morning. As we move on with our agenda, according to our bylaws, the purpose of the annual meeting, which this is our annual meeting, is for the election of officers for the new year. Our elections are governed by Robert's Rules of Order. In your binders, you'll find a memo from Josh on the conduct of elections. And so, as usual, I'm going to ask Josh to come and make a couple of comments before we go into our elections.
All right, thank you, Madam Chair. As Madam Chair mentioned, your elections and nominations process is governed by Robert Rules of Order. Because you are a public body, a lot of the different options in Robert Rules of Order doesn't apply since you guys cannot vote or make nominations in secret. So as far as nominations, the recommendation that I'm going to make for you guys is to take nominations from the floor. And basically the way that works is that any member of the board can make a nomination for a particular office. A second is not required. And the order would be you will start with the highest office, so start with the chair. You would take nominations, then you do elections, and then you would move down to vice chair and then to secretary and treasurer. As far as the election process, the board is going to need to make a decision on which process it wants to do. There are two possibilities that I think makes the most sense for the board. One is by what's called viva voce, which basically means by voice. So you would do a roll call voice vote. And the way that works is you would take a vote based on the order that the nominations were made. So the first person that was nominated, you would take a voice vote. If that person receives a majority vote, then that person is elected to the office. If that person does not receive the majority vote, then you move down to the second nomination and so forth and so on until someone receives a majority vote. The other option that you can do is by voice ballot, where essentially once you have received all the nominations for a particular office, you will basically roll call each board member and ask who do they vote for. And then through that process, once you have a majority vote for a particular person, then that person will be elected to the position. The other thing that we'll note is that the chair, if that person is nominated, they are not required to relinquish the chair while nominations or elections are going on. The only time where the chair would need to relinquish the chair is that if the chair is going to make any comments or any comments about a particular nominee for a particular office. But other than that, the chair is still allowed to preside over the election and nominations process.
Hey, Josh, can't you nominate a slate of candidates as well?
You can, and
How
that
does
is mentioned in the
process work?
memo. That is an option if you do want to do that as well. I felt that might get a little bit messy for you guys, but that is also an option. So So in the past, apparently you've done it in the past, my apologies. But yes, you could make a nomination of a slate, and then the board as a whole could approve that slate of officers.
Any other questions for Josh? So the executive committee has not proposed a slate of candidates. So I guess at this time, we will open the floor for nominations for chair, vice chair, and secretary treasurer. The one thing that I will note is that moving forward, the secretary treasurer will have an automatic seat on the finance committee. And just as a reminder, Jad Duncan is our vice chair currently, and Aaron McGee is our secretary treasurer. And with that in place, I will now open the floor for nominations for the chair of the Sports Authority.
Madam Chair, in keeping with the outstanding support that we've had with our current board of directors here at the Nashville Sports Authority, I would like to nominate the current board members for another term. Kathy Bender as chair, Jad Duncan as vice chair, Aaron McGee as secretary treasurer.
That does not require a second, does it?
No. Okay, thank you. Are there any other nominations from the floor? Do I need to make a motion to cease nominations?
You can close the nominations. You don't have to make an actual motion for it.
Okay. So at this time, I will close nominations, and we will prepare for the voice vote. All in favor of approving the slate presented, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposers, please signify by saying nay.
That's easy.
Thank you. The motion passes. Congratulations. Thank you.
I forgot to tell them it's at their current salary.
That part. Thank you. So this concludes our agenda. I want to thank the Nashville Predators and Bridgestone for hosting us once again. It's been a while. Thank you so much to Delaware North's food. The food was amazing this morning. Thank you so much. And I want to take a point of privilege. I'm so happy to have my sister Bonnie Campbell and my niece Lindsay here with us. And all my time with the Sports Authority, this is the first time they've been with us. Thank you all for joining us. Our next scheduled meeting will be Thursday, August 15th at Nissan Stadium, and the Finance Committee will meet prior to.
I want to add something too, just just for your planning, and I know that Valda will probably send an invite out, but at the meeting last month, we talked about the September meeting, and that we are planning to meet on September 12th. That's a really critical meeting as you all are going to take up the GMP. We thought that might be in lieu of the September 19th, but what I'm hearing is we probably need to keep both of those Thursdays open. I think we're on track. I think we're on track, but I think we're just trying to be extra cautious. So you will probably see an additional meeting invite for the 19th pop up on your calendars too.
Great. Thank you. Any other questions or comments? If not, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Thank you. Thanks everyone for being here. Thank you.
Congratulations.
This has been a service of the Metro Nashville Network. If you would like to see this presentation again, or for more information on this and other programs, visit nashville.gov.